Let's
Get us
head
out of
into
here,
the lore
Josh.
corner this week. I gotta get good old Ada pulled up for us.
Yeah, Ada-1, they call her.
Ada-1. We're gonna talk a little bit more about Ada this week. I am like rapidly getting to the point where I'm starting to run out of things for this season, though. So I'm gonna need them to hurry up and give me the lore for the rest of the season so I can talk about it. Because there are a few things that I cannot yet talk about. I need them to just hurry up and do it so I have something for the last couple of weeks.
Hurry up, Bungie!
Right. So pathfinding number 3, searching. Ada-1, Ada-1 tapped her foot impatiently while standing in the cryptarium. So can you do it? Rahul looked up lazily. Rahul, you fuck. Looked up lazily from his datapad and scowled. What a ridiculous question. Of course I am. It's a question of when I'll have the time. Ada's head tilted down. I didn't realize we were indulging in semantics. Rahul's response was arid as he tapped away on the device. There is no greater pleasure. Very well, when do you think you will have the time? Rahul placed a hand on his chin. The influx of data from Europa is significant, on top of the routine Guardian armament support, not to mention the open-ended nature of your query. The Cryptarch's eyes flitted as he thought through the problem. A conservative guess would be 2 to 3 weeks. Ada groaned. That's absurd. I cannot sit around for that long. You misunderstand, Rahul replied. I made no statements regarding what you should do with your time. Ada gripped the Cryptarch's desk. Fine, can I search for it myself? Rahul shook his head. Access to the classified archives is limited to sanctioned Guardians, tower support staff, or the Vanguard themselves. You are none of those things. Ada scoffed. Don't be ridiculous. I've seen that drifter perusing this data on a weekly basis for his own amusement. There's no way. Rahul stammered and blushed. I assure you no such breach has occurred. Ada folded her arms as Rahul continued. And even if it had, one crime doesn't excuse another. Ada leaned forward assertively. I guess you will be of no help then. Rahul shrugged. Not for 2 to 3 weeks at the very least. Ada grunted and stormed off through the cryptarium's towering doors, their colorful display of colored glass shining on her shoulders, when she heard Rahul cloudily call out after her. What were the names again that you were querying against? Rahul asked. Henriette Myron, Yuki Sato, and Helga Ramusen. Rahul's eyebrows lifted at the final name. You may be in luck. It seems our interests have overlapped.
Ooh.
Now, those 3 names, Marin, Sato, and Ramusen, are 3 of the founders of the Black Armory. They also have some awesome shaders that you can earn this season. They're back in the loot pool. So those of us who did not ever grind out for them during Black Armory can now get them.
Nice.
But again, bringing shit back that we didn't get that is now vaulted.
Yeah.
It's really funny because I see Black Armory shaders drop all the time now.
Yeah.
I like this. This is perfectly in character for Rahul, though. He is exactly what we've always thought he is. He's a smug, arrogant piece of shit.
Yeah.
Even the other NPCs hate him.
Yeah.
Oh, what ciphers? Rahul, you cannot be that busy. You give me nothing but dog shit every time I go to you. So don't forget the time you turned my legendaries into blues in year 1. I still haven't forgotten it.
Is he as bad as Hawthorne?
Oh, God, dude. I'd rather go to... I get better stuff from Hawthorne. I'd rather go to her.
Is he better than Shahan?
Man, that is hard. Yes, because...
Because Shahan is just the worst all the time.
Yeah, I'd rather talk to Rahul. At least Rahul is, like, in the tower where I could, like, yeet him off if he annoys me enough.
What if Shahan is... Side tangent from this lore piece. What if Shahan is a Professor Quirrell Harry Potter thing, and he's actually Savathun?
For the next 6 months, every time we don't like an NPC, Corey and I are going to be like, what if this is Savathun? I can't wait for Witch Queen to finally come out and us forget to get no answers.
Everyone is Savathun.
Everyone is Savathun. Faux Cyrus, especially.
God, dude. It's like the more I watch of that, the more I'm like, dude, what is happening with Osiris?
I don't know. Our next piece, though, a guiding hand. Ada worked to keep pace with her Elixni guide, weaving through the dimly lit and angular maze of the Elixni Quarter. The blur of open windows and doors provided brief glimpses into their new guests' lives. Strips of purple fabric filled with wash basins. Jars of unknown food clinked against each other as they boiled in oversized pots while parents softly clacked their mandibles and watched their infants nestled in gently used blankets. In the distance, attendants surrounded a humming servitor. The guide entered a basement-level dwelling. Ada followed as they pushed through a rough cotton curtain and stood in a warm and humid room laden with myriad rugs and carpet swatches. The city's ambient glow slipped in through a singular small window while candles flickered in a pastiche of glass vessels. A series of futons had been arranged in a semicircle in the middle of the room. There, a band of Elixni lounged on and against the furniture, all listening to the words of a single speaker seated on the floor. The air filled with guttural clicks and loud growls that Ada could make no sense of. She finally understood the performance to be over when the audience dispersed and her guide led her to sit beside the scribe. You are the one asking questions about Europa, are you not? About salvation, the scribe said. Ada frowned. You speak our language remarkably well. I had an unusual upbringing, the Elixni replied. I am Ito. What do you seek, Black Armorer? Ada sat on a futon, keeping a healthy distance from the Elixni. I'm searching for information from the Braytech facilities on Europa. And you believe we have this? I know some of your people defected from House Salvation. They may have seen something. Ito nodded. They have seen many things. One of my forebears, a great weaponsmith, worked at the Bray facilities on Europa. But I only know a fraction of what she was doing there. Ah, Ito said. Always about guns. Ada frowned. Your people are no strangers to weaponsmithing. Ito inhaled. True, and now improbably both our arsenals stand together in the shadow of the Great Machine. An alliance that makes it all the more logical for you to help me, Ada said. Ito placed her claws together. I will not help because I cannot. No mentions have been made of anything related to your armory founders. Ada's gaze dropped to the floor. Ada cocked her head and observed the exo. Such despair. Maybe this is about more than guns after all. Ada paused briefly. I lost something. A part of me. Ada nodded solemnly. Your forges, yes? My whole existence was tied to the armory, to those forges. Without them, I feel without purpose. Ida finished the thought, and Ada shook her head. This isn't... I'm not sure you could understand. Ida chuckled. A guttural grunt combined with clicking teeth. Our history is littered with the banners of lost houses. Most of us have worn more than one color, knelt before kell after kell, hoping they would be the last. She leaned closer to Ada. Elixni understand the fluidity of purpose very well. Fluidity implies a continuation, Ada replied. She sighed heavily. But it seems my path is coming to an end. Clicks resonated in Ido's jaw. Devil's was a dead house until Aramis made it new. Mithrax was dusk, and now he is light. Paths only end when we stop walking. Ada studied the Elixni. This is not the conversation I expected. If this settlement is going to work, it's probably best to break from old expectations, Ida said. Ada nodded and looked at the light softly radiating through the window. I've taken enough of your time. Thank you, she said, and confidently extended her arm with sincere gratitude. A claw hand landed softly on her shoulder as the Elixni instead thrust her datapad into Ada's outstretched hand. The befuddled exo quickly parsed the screen. This is something we found in the Bray archives. It's not what you were looking for, but it may help you decide where to walk next, Ido said. I'll look into it, I suppose. Good, Ido said, as Ada stood and slid the datapad under her arm. She hesitated. Are you sure it's a good idea to give me this? How will it look to your allies, you helping me like this? Ido chittered. It will look like unity. I really like this. I mean, we're circling back around to the Braytech facilities on Europa, which we thought we need to have done for a while. Mm-hmm. It's finally the Black Armory founders as being slightly more important to the overall story of the universe. The Forges just kind of existed out there as a thing that, even in their own season, it was just like, why are they here? Like, right. They have served almost no purpose. Right. Like, it's a seasonal mechanic, basically. It was the first seasonal thing we ever really got in the game. Yeah. And I like that we're kind of circling around this. This hints to me that we will likely get new weapon forges at some point.
Mm-hmm. You think we'll get one on Europa?
I think we'll get one on Europa, one or two on Europa. We'll probably get one on whatever the next planet is. And then maybe they reactivate the ones in the EDZ. Maybe. Those areas are still in the game.
Yeah.
I can see them doing that. Maybe they just change the area up a little bit.
Maybe we'll get one in the shuttle area of the Cosmodrome.
Yeah, maybe you get one in the Cosmodrome.
Like where Cade's stash is from that first mission.
If our theory of everybody moving to the helm continues, then there'll be a small forge in there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Reissuing Black Armory weapons is something that's going to happen. Maybe not next season, but definitely by the Witch Queen, I expect a suite, maybe like 4 to 5 of those weapons to come back. We got the armor back this season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unprecedented that we get it next, because it seems like they want to bring basically everything back into the loot pool now that they've gotten rid of it with new perks, new roles, things like that. But with the exception of keeping Recluse, Mountaintop, and Beloved / Revoker out.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much seems like what they needed to do, and they just had to wipe everything instead of just those 4 weapons.
Yeah.
And even those weapons have Loaded Question was another one. Those have largely been brought back. We had Adored as the sniper with Season of the Hunt. We had Salvage Salvo in Chosen, and this season we had Null Composure, which just sucks. Plug 1 is definitely the new Loaded Question.
Yeah.
The speculation is that next season is likely going to be an SMG of some kind, if we're keeping with the pattern of, things that were problematic and got pulled.
Mm-hmm.
That or a shotgun, because a lot of people did really like Python. Talk about an auto rifle, because Breakneck was super popular there for a while.
Right.
Who knows? I think that those are all good guesses, personally. I could see a new sword, to kind of finally put Falling Guillotine to bed for good.
Yeah.
Just kind of nerf Guillotine in the ground and be like, this is our new
one. They've been nerfing it, and it's still like it's still like the second best sword in the game, behind like the
Crown Splitter.
Yeah.
Crown Splitter, man. And that's a class special sword, so I think that this is good, though. This definitely allows for deeper lore threads, because the person she's talking to, the Elixir she's talking to, is Mithrax's daughter, Sigurito, who get into some of the lore surrounding her and some of the things that she shares, some of the information she shares about go and have your ghost scan things in the Elixir corner.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into some of that in the coming weeks, continuing on from this, talk about a lot of the Elixir. Now we've covered most of the weapons and the lore books and whatnot. We'll still have one more piece from Beneath an Endless Night. And I may look into Achilles Weaves a Cocoon. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's something we want to cover this season or not. I really need to read it cover to cover to make sure.
Yeah. If not, it's something we can cover next season, because it's.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have time next season.
I don't know.